Hello and welcome back, and today we have something very different to work on, and it's a colour we're not used to on our farm, but the thumbnail would have already shown you what it is, and that is this little gem of a Ford 4000. There's a few jobs we need to do on it. Before we do anything, I want to get it out of here, parked up here in the sunlight where it's a wee bit warmer, because it's -1 here last night and it's still very cold. Now it has been sitting for a while and the battery is quite run down on it. Jerry, my mate that owns this tractor, was saying the heater plug wasn't working. I think this has just slipped out. It's probably just a loose connection, so I'm going to slip it back on and hopefully the heater plug will work. Slip it in there. I'll throw it back in. Right, let's see what you start. Right, well I kind of half thought that she wouldn't start. So we could have a charging issue here as well. I'm going to have to look through all that because we are going to be doing a bit of work on the wiring of this tractor. I can see here we've got a lot of corrosion around the battery terminals. Well, this one here especially, so. But we're going to give it a little hit with our battery booster here and see if we get it going. There's a lad here. It's the plus and minus. See it. Right, now she's in. I could say the sunlight, but very cold day. I'm not going to be able to do a whole pile today on it because I don't fancy standing out in that north wind that's hitting me. But this that you're looking at right here is, I think, a 77. There's no plate on it at the minute, but I think if I remember right, it's a 1977 Ford 4000. This little gem you're looking at here has been around our house a long time. I remember it well. Some great memories with this little tractor, and it belongs to, well, his dad, but it belongs to a friend of mine that only lives across the fields from us. A guy that has been coming around my house a long time, and we've routed cars and tractors our whole lives. And this little tractor has good memories, particularly because it came here in the early to mid-90s, and I used to have the 565, my parents' 565, and this was our mode of transport. The two of us used to go into town every Friday night. We'd get a feed in the chipper and we'd sit along the side of the road eating it in town, just having the crack, talking to the young people that we know, and we thought we were the coolest of the coolest. But this little tractor has went under a massive restoration job, and it looks absolutely stunning. I remember, of course, when it didn't look as nice as this, but just to see how well it looks without spoiling it. They didn't take the originality out of it. A lot of the stuff still is original. But to start off, I suppose, the cab's original. Doors and all's original. The only part that had to be changed was the top. There's a brand new top on the cab. Brand new tyres all around. Mud guards are new here as well. The front is exactly the way it was, just completely stripped down and repainted. This here looks new to me. As a wee issue here on the front with this light. This is why the tractor is here. We have a few electrical things just to tidy up on it. But this light here, the back of it is blown out, so why it looks a little bit darker than the other one. So we might be fit to do something with that. Yeah, you might have noticed when I was starting the tractor that the lights were on. I like having the lights on. The lights are turned off, the lights are still on. So a couple of little bugs in the electrical system that needs to be worked out. Now the centre of the rims are original. But looking at there, you see the pitting on it. But I think the outer dishes have been changed. Got an even flow badge. You can't go without the even flow badge on the back of it. So you got two spools here on this. And then the wee bracket was made just to hold it lovely and tidy, even with the blue caps and everything. Just the wee details that sets it off. Looking into the cab, you can see the toolbox on the floor. Now, one thing Jerry did say to me was the wheels sit out a wee bit because the inner discs are turned the other way around, and he might change that. He might bring the wheels in a wee bit narrower. You can see the stance of her, she sits fairly wide. That sticks out quite a bit, and even on the road you'd be inclined to think that you could catch something and dirties the tractor very quickly. The muck just gets flung everywhere when you're going along the road, so you're doing a tractor run or anything, he said it's very hard to keep it clean. Another little thing Jerry himself done was he put these little bolts in here, just 2 pins of a machine just screwed in to the holes here for holding the top link. And look at, like, it's so simple. It's a great idea, I thought. And it always keeps the top link with you at all times. Although I think someone lost the clip here. One of the finger breakers was missing. Nice rubber mats on the floor. That's your block there for your chest valve on the back. I remember driving one of these before, and it had a wee steel lever here. Well, you just manually moved it back and forth and it worked. It's interesting the way the cab is in this. The way you can pull this and take the cab off completely. I've never seen that on a tractor before, and don't know why you would actually want to lift it off, but it's an easy idea, I suppose, if you did want to do some work to it. Now, there was no expense spared on this tractor. Jerry told me the money. I'm not telling anybody else what was spent on it, but there was a lot of money spent on this little tractor. It's a labour of love, but you can tell the time went into it as well. And by the way, the fella who done all this work is a local man. He's well known. He works on New Hollands Fords. A great man at a job, and only a knock a mile. He actually, when I was younger, he used to drive the school bus. But yeah, he done the tool time on this, and you can tell just by the fine details. There was a lot of love and a lot of work put into this. We almost had a Ford on our farm. I'm not sure if I've ever told anyone that before. Before we bought our 565, I was only a child at the time, but before we bought it, I remember we went and looked at a couple of tractors. My father was changing from a 135, and we were looking at a couple of Massey's, and we seen a Ford, I think it could have been a 4.6 or something like that. I can't remember fully. It was lovely and clean, and I thought it was such a step up from a 135. And we had the deal practically done and all till we found out that there was a problem with the back end of it. The back end wasn't working, and my father just instantly said, no, I don't want to have a tractor that instantly having to fix something on it. So sitting beside it was the 565, which was more money if I remember right, slightly more money, and it took a long time for my father to pull the plug and actually buy it, but I'm glad he did. But these little Fords, there's something nice about them. I always like the look of them. This little tractor here drew silage in its time, and yeah, trailers were quite small. She wouldn't be pulling a big double axle trailer around anymore. It'd be pulling her around, but it did draw silage with a single chop, and I remember that, and she did the job, and she put up silage as well. She did a lot of work in her time. So that is what we're looking at here anyway. Now your question is, why is she up here with me? Well, there's a couple of little things we need to work on. She doesn't have any indicators. We're going to be putting the lollipop indicator on them. Jerry's got all the bits and pieces. He's left me a box of stuff up there, and he just wants me to go over the whole wire and just tidy the whole thing up. There is some, well, look it, there's a lot of this. And with a tractor, it just fell apart in my hand as soon as I touched it. That's just not connected. I think that is actually 4 indicators. We figure out why our lights are on all the time, and I think it is the switch. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with this battery. There's a brand new alternator in this tractor as well, so if there is a problem, more than likely it's just down to the wiring. So that's where we'll start. Let's tear into it. Just going to stick a multimeter on it here and see what we're like for voltage. So what are we getting there? 12.82 volts. Now we're going to start it up and see what kind of volts we're getting then. Is there an increase in volts or does it stay the same? Recharging. What I'll do with that is I'll put it on a trickle charger when I'm working on it over the next few days, and we'll see what happens when it's charged. Then if it doesn't hold its charge, then there might be an issue with the battery. We're going to mark out where these lollipop indicators go. Now there's a little lad here. You can see it. We need to drill a hole for that. That just stops us from moving around or turning. So we need to put a little pilot hole in for that. So we have both our lollipops now on, and now you see why they call them the lollipop, because that's exactly what they look like. So we need to wire them next. Now there's never been indicators on this tractor before, so the whole piping is there to take the wire. So I'm going to run a wire back here, and I'm going to have to take power from this indicator on this side to get it to work. Now you might notice, if you're keen-eyed, it won't be hard to notice that we have 2 red lenses here when we should have an orange lens and a red lens. But Jerry's going to source the proper ones for it. But for now, we'll work with what we got. There is no power coming to the indicator on this one. So for now, we're going to wire that into this, and the same on the far side, and then work from there to there. So everything's just done with blue and brown cable at the minute, so I'm going to have to trace everything to see where it's coming from and work it from there. Just I've got to the problem of what was causing our lights to be on the whole time. In here, there's a switch, which will be up here for controlling the lights. This is the switch here. I've just disconnected and dropped it down. This wire here was laying loose when I removed the switch. Now, I'm not sure if it was connected there. There was a spid joiner on here, but that there is the power coming in. There shouldn't be any wire on that. And I have a feeling that this here might have been just put on there by mistake, or it came out of one of these and dropped down and touched this, and that's what had the lights on full time. So that's an easy fix. We can solve that very, very easily. Before we fix that little wire, there's wires just laying very, very loose everywhere. It's the same in here. You look at the amount of access wire there is. Everything works, but we can make it a lot tighter than that. We have a bolt in there, which is the earth, and if we can use something that's higher up behind the dash that's hidden, I'll do that. Right, we'll just get rid of all these wires and stuff now. So, I've actually went ahead and wired the thing. It was very hard to actually show anybody the way of wiring it because it's all underneath and then the rest of it's under the dash. There was no room for a camera and it's very tight just for myself even to get at it. But I'll be doing that stuff on the digger anyway. So I'll show you there's more room to work in it. Bigger cab, and I'll show you all the details of how you do that when we do the digger. And believe it or not, yes, we're in the shed. We got her into the shed. And if you can hear the noise, it's pouring rain outside. Switching on our parking lights. We have our parking lights there, the same on the far side. And then we turn on the next one, which should be our dims. Now we only have one light in the front. I said that before, that light is busted, so I'm going to make a phone call now to see what he wants to do with that. Does he want to order a new one, or does he want to swap it out for LEDs he was talking about? We now have an indicator switch fitted right there, and now have our left indicator on. And there is our other one on there now. Now we're to actually check the plough lamp. Assume it works. Yeah, that works fine. Right, I thought yesterday I was finished, but turns out I'm not. I had a phone call with the guy that owns it. Could you wire a 7-pin plug into it? My dad likes to pull a trailer behind it. So I got this lad here, just in the shop, then beside me here, and I'm gonna mount this somewhere or other. So I'm thinking of mounting it here. I don't want to drill any holes in these mud guards if I can help it. There's already a bolt there, which I could bend this, that it suits, and put it in tight to this mud guard. So I just bent that around, like that, and we already have a hole here, but we'll get that that it sits right. And then I might run a small pilot hole somewhere just to stop it from turning, like that there. Are you gonna move? Are you gonna move? Not too bothered. Right, this was dropped over to me last night. There should be 2 lights, he tells me in this, or 4 lights. 2 front ones and 2 back ones. And these are obviously the rubbers for around the lights. Yeah. And another one. And bubble wrap. Let's give that to Elena when I go down to the house because she loves that stuff. That's what we're looking for. With an indicator lens. And this is the front light. There she is. There we go. That obviously just sits in there. Like that. We touch of white grease here and there and just rub it on. So it just slips in a wee bit easier. I'm sorry about the wind noise, it's rough outside, got. Just getting it started. There we go. There we are. There she is. Did have a discussion on this, and Jerry wanted to put on LED lights, and yes, I do love the concept of LED lights, but on a tractor like this, for it to be so well restored, to come along and put LED lights on it, it just wouldn't look right, in my opinion. Everybody's different, but I don't think LEDs is right for this tractor. I think this is the best option here, just keep it the way it should be. Right, she's ticking over now in the background. I'm just after checking everything, and now that is job done. Got the proper lenses on her, everything's ticky boo. We sealed up everything as best we can with some liquid tape, and yeah, she's ready to pop. Let's take her for a wee spin. I'm trying to get used to this gear stick. First, second, that's second, that horse, that's forward. Okay, I think I have it. I'm hoping I'm kind of blocking the wind here. It's not really hitting me at the minute, but it's howling. I didn't think it was giving actually wind, and Sinead came up to tell me it's giving gale force gusts this evening. So yeah, I can see it rattling the doors here, and it is getting quite rough. This little gem was a pleasure to work on. Do you know what? No doubt there's a few pounds spent on it, but that tractor, just look at it. But they bought this in '85 in a place called Arthur O'Neill's. The engine was reconditioned, in full reconditioned. I think the gearbox was done too in 1986. You can just know by driving her, she's as sweet as a nut. They would have drew silage and everything with this. It done the whole work on farms, on many's a farm, and there's still quite a few of these about. So the bits and pieces that I was doing was, we now have a 7-pin plug. All the wire, the whole way along, both sides is braided. So when underneath then I brought the whole wiring up here. All this was just ordinary black uncovered wire, so we covered everything, brought everything up that it can't be seen. There was a lot of earth wires and stuff running here underneath the diesel tank. We took them all away. We earthed everything under the tractor so they can't be seen. Seems simple now when I tell you about it, but again, our wire is running here now and around and up into the cab of the tractor. Well, I was fit to bring it up in here so you can't see it inside the cab. And the same job with this little side light here. It's all braided in as well. Let me tell you, outside it is dangerous now. I can see it shaking the roof on that house beside me. I honestly don't check the weather anymore. This time of year I don't bother, there's no work to be done on the land, and normally when you look at it it's raining, so I don't bother looking at it. So stuff just catch me in surprise, and that's a nice little wind blowing. So Jerry's going on a tractor run with this, and you know what would be cool? If I could find me 565. I'm not ready to buy it yet. I have other commitments that I want to get done first, but one day I'd love to have that 565 back, and the two of us do the tractor run together, exactly like the way we used to drive into town a long time ago. This tractor, his dad owned it from 1985, but my mate and his family got together in 2021 and put the money together to fully restore this thing, and they started I think in the early autumn, and that was to have it ready and give it back as a total surprise to the father on Christmas Day, and that's exactly what they've done. I remember Jerry picking it up, I remember the photos. A lovely thing to do, and I have no doubt it made his father's day. Thanks very much for watching. See you next one.